Hello, Dr. Sanders. So this is Phineas Minor from the Black Hole Scene Rendering Group, and um, I did already compiled my photos into an image sequence video through Blender and posted it on YouTube. So we'll look at the demo first. As you can see, first of all, um, going through the checklist, I am going to explain. Uh, what we have here. Um, so as part of our as part of our as part of our 2D assets, um, we have our background, our sheep texture, and our alleged planet texture. And then for 3D assets, we're supposed to have the ship, space in general, and the moon, which in this case was supposed to be a planet, and then the motion, the AV, which is a sound, and our rendering as the last portion. So here, I don't know if you can see it properly. I'll put it to full screen. Here you can see the little ship, and then our black hole, and then the gases as the texture. We have a starry background. We're supposed to have a planet, but when we did have a planet, it broke the rest of the code. So we just reverted to this until we can fix that one later. Hopefully, it is ready by presentation day, but it is what we have for now. So I'll play this. This is another scene, a separate scene from what my teammates have shown that goes, you see the disc is like this, so it just goes around the disc in a circular motion. That's how the camera pans out. So let's see. And hear the little soundtrack. So the camera pans across. Yeah, like that. I use the computer, the big computer in the. I use the big computer um in the supercomputer room to generate 480 images, which turned out to be a 30-second video on the 16 frames per second. So that was really decent. It ran out of memory at 480 images, so I can only imagine what would have happened if I ran it on my poor laptop. But yeah, let us go into. I think I was it. That was part one. Yes. Um, um, yes, that was part one. Yes, that was part one. Demonstrates all the required features, narration, and demonstration. And then we can now dive into our code, which is supposed to be on this one. Um, sorry, it's small. Supposed to make it big like that. Yes. So where do I start? Uh, I worked on mainly the disk. I was also working on the planet stuff, got it to work, but then it broke everything else. So we decided to revert to this where we had everything else working. Um, but yeah, here we initialize some variables that are gonna help us to check if we hit the accreditation disk. Accretion disk, yeah. So we initialize this T, float this T, the hit point, the temperature, and the sensitivity. So the emissivity is what this one determines brightness, this one determines our emission, and then the hit point gets the coordinates of the intersection, and then this distance So it just gets the distance to the intersection. And then here in float 3 disk color, we make this one initializes like the brightness of the accretion disk. It's initialized as dark, initialized because there's no rays that have hit it yet. So it's initialized as black. And then this boolean um, it calls to check if the ray hits the disk, and then if it hits the disk, this if statement gets only run if there was a disk hit, and if it was hit, then it gives the color based on the temperature, in which this case it was made to temperature when it's around red, and then it uses this emissivity for the sake of the brightness. And then um, we compute here the gravitational redshift near the black hole. Um, the light around there, if you look on the top view from other people, you can see it like loses energy. So like right there, it's a little faded. So that's the math for that. And then the shifting effect, right here, we initialize an angle and a Doppler. Um, and that's the math for that. And then we adjust the temperature and color as well after that based on whatever factor we get. Sorry, yeah, whatever, based on whatever factor we get from this. Um, and then we also change this color based on the intensity. So we adjust it based on that brightness. And then here we initialize azimuth and elevation because um, this one is where we convert our 3D direction rays into like coordinates that can fit a sphere. So for the sake of sampling, and then here in our triangular mesh intersection, we initialize three variables: closest t, boolean, and hit normal color and hit color. So this one just computes the closest hit distance, and then this one checks if any triangle was hit, and then this is just um, initializing hit normal, so that normal, and then the hit color, so the resulting color after the rays hit that specific triangle. And then this for loop goes through all the triangle primitives in the scene. So in this case, we have for the spaceship. If we also had the planet, it would have been doing it for the planet as well. And then in this, we extract three vertices for the triangle at I. And then we check here if any ray hits that triangle. Um, and then here it only keeps the closest intersection. And then with that, uh, if t is less than, after it checks that, it updates then the closest hit info. And yeah. So in this one sample texture, we are doing um what's it called? We're doing is it um, texture mapping? Yeah. So we initialize three UV coordinates and a UV base. So we load the triangles texture coordinates here in this, and then in this section of the code, W0, W1, W2, we interpolate the UVs based on the base-centric waves, which is more on also the physics side of things. And then we convert here this with text U and text V. We convert our our pixel index here. So it gets packed by a single RGB value. So red, green, blue value. And then in this case, we extract the red, the green, and the blue from 32-bit color. Um, and then we set the hit color to those RGB values that we found. Um, so as we say, this one's for the triangles for the spaceship. We do here the same thing for the triangles of the planet. This line was commented out in the other code, in the running of the code, but here we initialized again we're using a for loop to go through all the triangles for the planet, and then we do um the same process all the way to here, hit color, and then here we check if an object was hit. So if it was hit and then closest T is less than disk T and it's not a disk, then we put the RGB values to a we convert it from a float. We initialize RGB as an 8-bit channel, and then it will be um we set the colors to whatever heat color was up here, and then uh we output the we output this on the output buffer, and then we return that function early, just right there, instead of going through other things. In this section, um, sorry, in this section, we initialize a float u, which float u the text. We initialize text x and texture y, and this one we use azimuth and elevation to fetch background color from a spherical texture, and then um yeah, that's what this background color is doing. So it fetches, that's where we get the color. So we use the texture Y, texture X, and the background to do that. And then we initialize background red, green, and blue to uh, we convert whatever that color was um, into a float RGB, and then this float three are that's the integers we get here get placed into that, and we get a background color in float RGB form. And then here we initialize our glow radius as 2, and then our glow color it gets initialized at around yellow, or in that case also red. And then glow strength at the moment was at 0. And then this portion, this for loop, we go through all the particles. We initialize a base I is multiplied by 8. This we initialize the position and the color of the particles, and then the distance, which is p minus position. If the distance is less than the glow radius, then the intensity is high. And then glow color gets uh we modify that by adding the intensity multiplied by the color value, and then also glow strength increases with the intensity. Um, yeah, and then glow strength here gets also, well, not initialized, but it gets adjusted to minimum. Uh, so the current glow strength, which was initialized to zero, times one, which is still zero. And then the glow color, we use this clamp function, put the glow color that was before, and then the new one, which is white. Makes it white or black? I think it's white, yeah. No, black, sorry. Yeah, I think it is black. Yeah. And then our final color, we combine the background color with whatever particle glow we had. If we hit the accretion disk, then we're supposed to blend it with the background. So here we initialize a float called this blend factor, and we after we initialize that blend factor to whatever the disk intensity was when we hit it, and then um, and then and then here we initialize the final color. Sorry, we change the final color to uh, uh, one minus the disk blend factor, and right there, it just blends whatever color we had to what is with the disk as well. And then this adds a bloom because we have the intensity, and then bloom color becomes this color times 1.5, so it makes it a little brighter. And so the final color will be whatever color was up here plus bloom color times the intensity. Um, we also, I, I also worked on the black hole glow effect. So here I initialized the distance to the center to uh, initialize it to, sorry, the length of the ray position, and then the black hole glow factor gets initialized to zero. Um, so this if statement checks how close we are from to the event horizon radius, and if it's less than that times 10, then we set the glow factor to that, and then uh, we also reduce the intensity of the glow right here by 0.8, so around 20%. And then for the blue white glow for the black hole, the one that's supposed to be around it, uh, we make we initialize a float called black hole glow, and we switch it to those colors, so 0.5, 0.7, and 1. And then we multiply it by the black hole glow factor that we got up here. And then we set our final color to that plus the black hole glow. And then we also clamp the final color here to uh, have it at a range from 0 to 1. And yeah, and then we convert our 8-bit color up here, and we write it to sorry, we convert the 16-bit we had to an 8-bit. So RG we initialize R, G, and B to uh, the values from final color, and then we put it into this similar how. to how we did it up here. And so yeah, um, that is all I worked on. I'm gonna play this video once again. It's kind of cool. You can see the ship down here. We're just going around for this scene. Dario is the one that worked on the camera, so he's the one that made the scenes different. But yeah, that is all for today. Thank you so much.